And that
Well,
is my fault. I think
well, no,
we can all agree on that.
it the the problem is that this studio goes live at 1
So they got to be in
starting next
early.
week.
Well, but I think what I would say is that I do spend too much time talking, which is good, but when we don't have the time to do it, there, I can tell you this, Barb. It's
I
one
heard
thing
that
because
groan.
he needs to be on schedule for everything he just said. But on top of that, they have him doing so much more than he used to do. And it's just, to me, it's just going to collapse at some point because you can't expect somebody to just do that week after week after week. So, try to make it as acceptable as possible because it's just frankly not acceptable for him to do all this. However, all right, I digress. I'm good. You good, David? David's good. Barb, how about you?
I'm good. Let me just go grab stuff off the printer.
No, no, do that. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Um,
There is always something more for me to do. Absolutely.
just take a sec. I won't staple or anything. Okay, I want to record. Okay. On the air. So if you have time, I'll take some pictures. Our new studio is underway. Want some ideas from you?
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats. That is so cool.
It looks better than this little rat hole that I'm in.
Keep in mind what's important is how it sounds.
True. But it's also on video. If they knew all of the sound things are falling off the walls and, Richard was aghast when he came and saw it. He's like, oh my God.
Well, but as much as that, I was just really, really impressed that you make it look this current configuration. There's no way I would think it is such a tiny closet that you're in because it doesn't look like that. However, when I saw it in person and it was like, okay, so she'd like to have a live guest and what, to sit on your lap or how are you going to do that?
Yeah, that would be it, probably.
I mean, just honestly, so good. All right. You good, Barb?
I'm ready.
All right. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Hello, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb's also a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have got to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air the show every week, and so for this week, if you can't listen to the entire show, folks, it's always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or go ahead and search for Barb. You'll find her on all of the podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Barb, what do we have in store for today's show?
Well, Richard, I'm excited about today's show. We've got some really cool stuff that we're going to offer up. One of them is about how home sellers can get their hands easily on $50,000 to remodel their home at no cost. So I'm pretty excited about pitching that. It'll be in the second segment. It's called How to Get Easy Money to Fix Up Your Home for Sale. And then the first segment, we're going to talk about what do you do when the market's soft like it is? Just to put it in perspective, there are 55,000 or more agents in the state. Most of them are along the Front Range, especially Denver, Colorado Springs. And a majority have never seen a market where the prices are correcting. And it's really difficult when they're correcting slowly, which is what's happening. So depending on what statistics you look at, the prices are dropping substantially or they're not, right? It just depends on the house, the location, how it looks, whether or not it's remodeled. There's all kinds of factors involved with those decisions about how to approach your home when you go on the market. So we're going to talk about what you should do if you're a home seller when you want to sell a home when the market is going through a slight correction like we've seen. And then the third topic is how do home sellers prepare for home inspection? So I deal with this fund every single week. It seems like we've got some kind of engagement going on between me and the agent and the buyer and the stuff that they're asking for. And some of it's reasonable, some of it's not. So we're going to talk about how do you get ready for an inspection? You know, a lot of people have this perception that the home is sold as is. Well, you know, it's as is. It says in the contract it's as is. Well, it never really quite works out that way, unless it's like a distress sale, like a foreclosed home or something like that. And then in that case, usually as is means as is. And some agents don't even buy that. They'll like, well, what if the appraiser says you have to fix it? Don't they have to fix it? And the answer is no. You got to go for plan B here. So we'll talk about that, how to prep your home for inspection. There's some good tips in there. And then the last segment is really the number one catch-22 that most home sellers deal with is if they want to buy their next home, but they want to take their equity out of their home. How do they buy their next home if they have a house to sell? And as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
So every week you give people great information on one of the biggest investments that people have. It's the home. For some people, it might be a 401k, but the home certainly is one of the biggest things. And people want to make sure that they retain the value when they own it. And when they sell it, they would like to make sure they get everything out that they can. Don't leave anything on the table at the closing. So how would you describe the market right now, Barb Schlinker?
Well, what we're seeing currently, depending on which data you look at, you know, it's supposed to all be driven from the multiple listing service. Please don't rely on Zillow. Zillow just averages all the homes that are available for sale, not the ones that have sold. So that doesn't give you a really good indication of the market. It just tells you what people are asking. But right now, the average and median sales price are dropping. And that's odd because typically they peak out this time of year. So that's interesting. The other thing that's happening is the inventory, the number of available homes continues to rise. It's been rising since February. So there's more people putting their homes on the market, but there aren't as many buyers. Another source of data tells me in the different counties, we've had a substantial drop in the median asking price for homes pretty much all along the Front Range. So Douglas County went from a median asking price of $878,000 back in April. Now it's $815,000. That's a big chunk of money right there. You know, $60,000 drop in just a few months. El Paso County, not so drastic, but it has dropped about 15,000. April was 550. Right now it's 535 for the median asking price. And Teller and Pueblo counties are kind of flat. I think part of that has to do with Teller County. This is prime time to sell in Teller County. All the Texans come up and they see this beautiful mountain areas and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. So typically they peak out in their pricing in the summer. But when I looked at the real data, it was up and down, up and down. So, and Pueblo has been flat for a while. So if home buyers have a home that they need to sell and they want to make an offer on a house that's on the market, they have a problem. And I get these requests, it seems like every week, Richard, where an agent will call and go, oh, my buyer loves the house, but they need to sell a house in wherever. Will your seller reserve the home for us and wait for us to sell our home that, oh, by the way, is not even on the market? That usually doesn't go across too good, Richard. Most sellers are like, no, right?
I mean, it just makes sense, but it's amazing, Barb Schlinker, how many people, just common sense, as they say, is stereotypical, but is not so common anymore, and including in real estate.
Yeah. Well, pricing really creates urgency and gets rid of any kind of buyer resistance. So if it's priced right, and that's really key in any real estate market at any time. Just so you know, I've been in business since the mid 1990s. I have seen all kinds of markets. I saw the 9/11, which was a flattened time period. I saw the dot-com boom. The dot-com people came over here for a little while, and then it stopped when they found out they weren't really very good jobs. Then I saw the big boom that took place in the early 2000s, followed by a massive crash, which was basically because the lending was so loose and wild. Anybody with a pulse could get a loan. They could just say, hey, I make this much money every month and you don't have to verify it and give me a house. And they would do it. So once, Wall Street figured out that that was going on with these loans that they were investing in as being good money, that's when the whole market came down crashing. So in our market, we didn't crash that hard. Generally, most of the demographic around this area, a lot of government workers, a lot of people that have pretty stable income. So we didn't see the big ups and downs like you saw in places like Arizona, the East Coast, California. But we did have about a 25% drop, and then it came back up. And then the craziest thing happened. The government got involved again, and they dropped the interest rates to almost nothing, which drove the prices up, double-digit annual increases in pricing. And we're still kind of feeling the effects of that, in that the prices zoomed way up. And then they haven't, since the rates went up, the buyers can't afford it, but the prices haven't really crashed that much. And so buyers can't afford it. So we're in a situation where the market is slower. The days on market are longer. The inventory is rising. We have the same number of buyers buying a house every single month. So it's not very strong right now. And I think Denver is dropping faster than Colorado Springs, but it all comes down to pricing. We sell homes every single month, multiples of them in any kind of market. And how do you do that? You have to understand the market and approach it that way. So it starts with pricing. So if the home is not priced right, it triggers buyer resistance. It causes the buyers to wait and see. It leads to price reductions, and often the sellers, and these are national stats, this is not according to Barb, will net less money. But if the home is priced right, especially right when it goes on the market, it gets the most eyes on the property within the first 7 to 14 days. It creates urgency on the buyer part. It creates momentum for the house, and it attracts serious qualified buyers versus tire kickers, versus people that, well, maybe I'll find something I like better. And you have more of a chance of getting multiple offers, which is the best case situation for any home seller. And not all homes sold with a bidding war are pretty. I'm showing you one right now where the outside was beautiful, the inside, they had a lot of stuff, so I couldn't shoot the inside pictures. I ended up not using inside pictures, but I convinced the seller, hey, in order to do that, and the fact that the home is not updated, let's price it very realistically and get a bidding war. So we had no inside pictures, and we had a huge crowd at the open house, and it sold for $15,000 over asking price in just 1 week. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about, how do you deal with a market where the prices are dropping? And when we come back, we're going to talk about the way you can position yourself to be the best buyer in any kind of market. My name is Barb Schlinker. If you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
We're here talking with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can always reach Barb at this number, 719-301-3900. So, Barb, what are the best ways that home sellers and buyers should prepare to sell a home in a declining market?
Well, Richard, the first thing is if you're a buyer, you need to get ready. Okay. I was actually at a seller's house a couple weeks ago, and the day I got there, in fact, after we talked about the how what the home should be priced at and all that, they said, okay, we're going to buy another house in another market and we need to make an offer now. But it's going to be contingent on our home selling. I'm like, that's going to be weak. And a lot of buyers work that way, even though they might know that they have equity. A lot of people don't know the solutions on how to tap into that equity and be in a position to be a great buyer on the other end. And we were able to help them do that with our buy before you sell programs, where they actually got pre-approved for up to $1 million and are able to go just basically stroke a check for their next house without selling their current home. And a lot of people think it's kind of like the car dealerships. You know, you go down the car dealership and you fall in love with a car, and then you're like, okay, I want to buy it. How do I do that? And a lot of people that I talk to on the phone don't have their financing ready to go. They just want to look at the house first and then determine if they're going to go down the financial road. The financial road and solving the house to sell problem is probably the most important aspect of it. And it's something that should be done first, because when the right house drops, you're not going to have any notice, and you want to be sure that you're ready. And then for sellers, of course, pricing it correctly from day one is absolutely critical, especially in a market that is declining. And make some updates so the buyers don't reject your home over stupid stuff like it needs paint, it needs carpet, it needs curb appeal. All those things can be solved. And actually, in the next segment, we're going to talk about how you can get $50,000 to update your home and not have to pay it up front or out of pocket. And you want to be flexible on negotiations. It is a little bit of a buyer's market, kind of leaning more and more towards a buyer's market. Always price it realistically versus optimistically. So if you are thinking of making a move, we can help you do all these things. Just give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker. This is your real estate voice, and Barb should be your real estate voice because she is going to guarantee the sale of your home. You can reach Barb at 719-301-3900. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to get easy money to fix up your home when you're getting ready for sale. Easy money.
You know, I told this printer not to print front to back, and it did it anywhere.
I hate that.
I swear there's a bunch of, I don't know, tree huggers built into the printer.
They try to get me every now and then. And, and it's everybody's different. I mean, David will tell you that it annoys the heck out of me when that happens. And, first of all, you get used to it, but part of it is too, the more you have to start flopping around with paper, the more annoying it is. It's noisy.
Well, it's harder to read on the air too.
Is it? Yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
Because you can see the ink from the other side.
Yeah, you can see through it.
Yeah.
I'm using all these different colors. It's irritating.
I love the colors. All right. Let's see. I'm ready for segment 2. Barb?
Oh, I'm bringing it up. Okay, ready.
It's down in 3, 2, 1. I'm Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner-broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and the host of the program. Now, Barb, getting a house ready to sell is the question often asked from people who are thinking about selling the home. How much difference does home sale preparation make when it comes to getting the most money on that home sale?
Well, it's actually quite a bit. I mean, if you compare homes that are completely remodeled, same size home up against one that isn't, I just did two of them, and the difference between the two was about $100,000 in a kind of middle price range, middle to upper price range. So, and the one that was updated had a bidding more. The one that wasn't did not, even though they were offering good financing on it. It was low interest assumable loan. So what we're seeing is buyers, if they're going to buy a house, right, they want the whole thing. They want HGTV. They don't want to have to fix anything. And you would have to drive the price way low in order to actually overcome any kind of deferred maintenance. An example would be the easiest one, which is flooring, carpet. So if your carpet is tired, if it has traffic areas, if it, I had one where there was carpet in the bathroom. That was a thing that the builders did back in the day. They just to save money. Actually, vinyl was cheaper than carpet. I don't know why they did this, but they put carpet in master bathrooms. The first house we bought had carpet in the master bathrooms. But when the buyers go in there, they're like, ew, that's gross. We don't want carpet in the bathrooms, which makes sense. So, something simple like that is relatively inexpensive to correct. And basically, the number one question that I get from home sellers is, hey, what do we need to do to get our house ready for sale? And, if we price it that way, don't the buyers understand that it's as is and we don't have to do any work on it? But it doesn't seem to matter. I think a lot of the agents aren't real when they go and show a buyer a house, they're not looking at the market values yet. In fact, they won't do it until the buyer asks them to. I'm just going off my own experience, right? When I was new in the business and I was out working a lot of buyers, I'd be in there and go, oh, what do you think this home is worth? So a lot of times, most agents approach it as, well, let's go show it. And if they like it, then we'll go back and explore it further and look into the valuation of the home. But the situation could change if you have multiple offers. So how do the buyers know they're going to have multiple offers? I sold a house off of Old Ranch Road. It actually closed in June, but we went under contract in the spring. I think we lost count. I'm pretty sure we had close to 70 people show up at the open house. And I took pictures of all the shoes on the floor. It was a big house with a lot of bedrooms. So a lot of people brought their kids. There were a lot of kids' shoes on the floor. There were two pair that were the same shoe. One kid was really worried about, what if they steal my shoe? Anyway, I'm just saying that there were so many people there. There were so many shoes on the floor. There were so many people walking through. It gave very good visual information to the buyers that were in there that, oh, this home is obviously in high demand because look at all the people here. So that's my job as the listing agent, to create demand. Okay. But how do you get them there in the first place? I think, and I've said many times before, that I think the buyers are very well educated. They can scope out a red hot deal a mile away. They can tell if it's something they really want to see, if it's in their budget, and how it compares to other homes that are on the market. I think most buyers know more about the real estate market in their little micro market of the price range that they're looking in than real estate agents by far, because they're looking for every new property that's popping on the market to go see if that's the one that they're going to go buy. So if they go to a situation like that, where there's a bunch of buyers in there, it's like, oh my gosh, other buyers obviously see value too in this home. And if they decide to make an offer, it's a clue to them that they have to make their best offer. So most home sellers, of course, they want the most money, right? So how do we get the most money? There's two ways to do it. Sometimes you do both, sometimes you don't. Number one is price it very, very, very realistic. In other words, below, somewhat below similar sales. Okay. So that's one strategy. It works very, very well. The price will always gravitate towards full market value if it's priced that way. I sold one in Briargate where I thought it was worth $550. Seller chose to price it $525. We sold it at $550, right? And we had two offers. How did that happen? Because the buyers knew it was worth that much, and we had buyers competing for that home. But most agents look backwards, or they promise the world to their sellers and go, oh, I can get you $1 million. I know I can. And, the sellers bite on that. And then they get disappointed when their home goes on the market and it sits there month after month, day after day, people picking it apart, buyers finding other homes that are better. Guess what? It's not working. Another problem is that the days on market gets longer. So the longer the days on market, the more the buyer thinks that you're a highly motivated seller. Okay. And you'll see the inventory has been increasing. The prices have been decreasing overall. And the more days on market, the more buyers think that you're a highly motivated seller. Or if it goes on and off the market, like if you accept a contract and then it fails and you go back on the market, the immediate thought from the buyer is there's something wrong with the house and not with the buyer. Sometimes the buyer just changes their minds. So according to the mortgage statistics that I looked at, 80%, there's 80% of the buyers out there, would-be buyers, are just waiting. They're waiting for the perfect deal, the perfect house, lower interest rates. So what does that mean? You've got sellers competing for fewer buyers. And that's why the inventory is climbing. So now more than ever, the seller is responsible for positioning their home to be the most desirable in its price range. You can do that by size. So if you don't update, you can be the best deal square footage wise. You can do it by condition. But what if I told you I could get you $50,000 to get your home ready for sale, and you don't have to pay it back until your home sells? This program is exclusive to Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. So if you need some help getting your house ready for sale, and that's for anything. It could be landscaping. It could be the sewer line needs to be replaced. It could be the roof. It could be appliances. It could be countertop. It could be all kinds of things. You get to choose, and it allows you to do the updates so that you could price your home at the top of the market as fully ready to go, what they call turnkey or move-in ready, and be able to command the most money, because most sellers actually do want the most money. And did you know that a home that's market ready actually will sell 31% faster than a home that's not market ready? And according to national stats, it's about 9% higher. Although I have my own empirical data that it's more like 13% higher in this area. Still a highly desirable place to buy a home. So doing those things, doing those fix-ups that make the buyer say, I'll take it, are really, really critical, because most buyers are getting in with all the cash that they have. They don't want to put in new carpet. And I get this question all the time. Can't we give a carpet credit? What if they don't like the carpet that I put in there? What if they rip out the brand new carpet that I put in? I hear that all the time. But guess what? They weren't going to make an offer unless you did that. So that is my point. And this is part of what we do. We meet with our home sellers. We give them tips on what to do and what not to do to get their house ready for sale. We'll go over all the closing costs, give them a really good idea on how much they're going to put in their pocket when it sells, depending on how they approach the home. Is it going to be fixed up? Is it going to be as is? And those are different prices depending on what's going on. I had a house a few years ago up in Monument, big home, nice lot, big lot. But it was absolute 80s time warp. We are talking the pink carpet everywhere, pink seashell shaped sinks, you name it. So I gave just a few tips for the seller to do it. Now, back then, the sellers funded it themselves, which was pretty pricey. They had to pay for carpet, they had to pay for recoating the pink sinks, and a few other things. I told them not to do the kitchen because it probably, their competition, they wouldn't get the money out of it. But the key was, I told them price it very realistically. And guess what happened? We had a huge crowd, over 80 some people at the open house. We had 6 offers and it sold for $75,000 over asking price. That was just doing the basics. You don't have to go all in. So this money will allow you to do all kinds of things. Granite counters, flooring, cabinets, curb appeal. Curb appeal is absolutely critical. The buyers actually spend the most time looking at the outside of the home before they make the next step to look at the inside. So if they don't like the outside, you can't get them in the door. So it's really, really important that you attract them the right way with the whole picture, the price, the condition, everything. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how you can get easy money to prepare your home for sale. When we come back, we're going to talk about our Market Ready program and how you can get that $50,000 to fix up your home and pay for it at closing. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
I'm Richard Randall. We're here talking with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can reach Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We're discussing how to prepare to sell a home before you are selling, and why should our listeners consider your market ready, easy money. Why should our listeners consider your market ready, easy $500,000 to fix up their homes before they do sell?
No, 50, not 500.
Oh my God. Hold on. Make a note of that. I can't believe I said that. Here we go. We're discussing how to prepare to sell your home before actually selling. So, Barb, why should our listeners consider your market ready, easy $50,000 to fix up their homes before they sell?
Well, it's mostly because home sellers, and it's become kind of more of a just the way society works right now. You know, we can go up on Google and get an answer instantly. You know, we can go to AI and get an answer instantly. We can go buy a car online. Everybody wants things done right now, and that includes selling a house. Most sellers hate you if your home is going more than 90 days on the market. If you're the listing agent, they're mad at you. What did you do wrong? And it's usually A, condition, B, price, or it could be both. Okay. And often I get that question, well, can't we give a credit to the buyer? You know, give them some money, pay their closing cost. The problem is most people don't have the vision. I'm one of those. If I go look at an empty room that has tired carpet, I can't visualize it looking nice. People that are artistic might be able to do that, but it's not in my DNA. And I probably represent a whole bunch of people in the world that don't have the visualization. That's why you see all the virtual staging out there and a lot of digital things to make the homes look more attractive. So a credit is a fail. Plus, the lenders won't allow it. They call it, incentivizing the buyer with stuff. And according to a study from the National Association of Realtors, 41% of home buyers will not buy a home that needs work. So that takes a lot of available buyers off your plate. This easy money, $50,000, can be used for absolutely anything, including moving cost. Richard, do you know how much it costs to move just from here to the next state? Do you have any idea just for an average size household?
$5,000.
It's more like anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000.
Wow.
To move.
Wow.
Right now, they'll take their check at the end, but the problem is, it's like, well, I got a budget for that too. But you could use this money for cabinets, sewer lines. You can't imagine how unexciting it is to spend $13,000 to repair a sewer line that's not plugged up. That's what inspectors will try to do. The buyer's agent will come in and go, well, we did the sewer scope and we see it's broken and we got a bid and we got to get this done, right? It's not, there's nothing fun about it. It's not attractive to the buyer or the seller. They're just worried about having a future problem. So this is part of what we do is we basically get our homes market ready to sell. And that way the home seller can command the most money. You can access the 50,000 for any type of repairs, and it doesn't affect your credit. It doesn't affect your ability to buy your next home. It gets paid at closing, and it's very, very inexpensive money. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we're talking about how you can get $50,000 to fix up your home. If you are thinking of doing that, we can help you do that. Just call us or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker. This is your real estate voice. Barb is the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of selling your home, you want to get the most amount of money, of course. When you sell, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how do home sellers really prepare for their home inspection to keep their buyers in the contract. Stay tuned for that.
All right. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
We're on time, right? What does it say?
I think we are.
I can't read. That's so tiny. I need reading glasses. What time is it? Oh, 11:30. Okay, we're good. I'll be right back.
31.
Okay, I've got number 3. Barb looks ready.
My Coke can says ho.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh.
My sister-in-law and I have a band. It's more of like a family karaoke band. We call ourselves the Garden Hose.
Oh my gosh. All right, I have a joke then. So there's this rodeo sport called team penning, and you put 30 cattle out into a rodeo arena. You have 3 people on a team, so it'd be 3 people on horseback. And the idea is you have to go in and cut 3 specific cattle out of the herd and then get them into a little pen. Team penning, that's what they call it.
Hmm.
So I was down at the T Cross Ranch, which is Bob Norris. He's the used to be the Marlboro man, and he's the big
Oh,
stand
yeah.
the Norris Penrose Equestrian Center. I was down at his place for an event, and they gave me a $40,000 horse to ride. So I had a great ride. And then they gave me 2 women as my partners, and we had to come up with a name for our team. So they came up with 2 bims and a bow. I was
Bow.
I was the bow. They were the bims.
Not 2 hoes and a bow.
Right? Yeah. And actually, I won some money that day. All right,
Did you?
count us down in 3, 2, 1. Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program. And this is the rate. I don't like it. 3, 2, 1. Richard Randall, welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She is the Real Estate Voice, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, host of the program, and the owner-broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, when buyers do a home inspection, typically they're checking to see if the home is still in functional condition. What are the most common issues that arise on inspections, and how can sellers be prepared for that inspection?
Well, Richard, this is like something I deal with really on a weekly basis. We have some kind of inspection going on, and it's like a contest. It's a point of negotiation, right? So the buyer does their inspection, they come back and they ask for stuff. Okay, we'll take the house, but we want this, or we want that, or we want to know more about this, or, and for some agents, I feel like they believe it's their job to get stuff for their buyers, not necessarily clear off any objections, right? So it should be the other way around. It should be, okay, other than that, will you still buy the house, kind of thing? Because the way the system is set up, when they send an inspection objection, they're saying, if you don't give us what we want after this drop dead deadline here in a few days, it's over. We walk and we get our earnest money back, no harm, no foul. So most of the time the sellers will come back. Sometimes they'll come back and do everything they asked. Sometimes there's some negotiation. Sometimes we need to get professionals to take a look at the system, because it could be, and often is, that the inspector's assessment of that particular item may not be accurate. And here's why. In the state of Colorado, there is no license to be an inspector. I could be an inspector and I'm scary with any tool in my hand. So it's just amazing that anybody could just sign up to go, oh, I'm your home inspector. Okay, I'm going to crawl around and we're going to say this needs to be done. And sometimes they'll bring in their gadgets. I love the gadgets. I get a kick out of them. One of them was a mold wand. The other is that most of them use. They call it a moisture meter, but it doesn't really read moisture. It reads temperature differences. So they automatically go to the assumption, well, if it's reading a temperature difference here, then there must be moisture behind that wall, even if there's no plumbing behind the wall. So we see crazy stuff, and you have to think through it and look at it as somebody that's representing the seller because they've never seen this before. And they thought they signed a contract that says it was sold as is, where is, with all its faults. Not every home is new, right? Not every home is perfect. I just closed one where the buyer asked for, I believe the count was something like 45 different repairs and about $200,000 total. But they said, oh, we're not going to ask for $200,000. They're only going to ask for $30,000. Will you buy us stuff so we can climb on the house and do our own work? And it was quite a project to get that one to the finish line. Some were legit, some were not. And that's part of that job is once you get the inspection objection, it kind of becomes my main focus because A, we have a deadline to give an answer. Otherwise, the deal falls apart. And B, we got to validate that the request that they made is valid or not. So you have to bring in outside contractors that are professionals in the trade to verify it. I'll give you just a personal example. Couple weeks ago, this probably happened to a lot of people when it was really, really hot. We had our air conditioner cranked up and it froze and it stopped providing cool air. So last year when that happened, they told us just to turn it off and wait a couple days and turn it back on. Then they said it was fine, right? And I'm like, it should not work that way. We shouldn't have to worry about it freezing. So over the winter, we had somebody put in new humidifiers. One contractor put in new humidifiers, but they weren't like the best contractor. So they kind of jury rigged the wrong type of humidifier for that size house. And I don't know if you have this problem, Richard, but sometimes does your wife not communicate with you about what's going on? I guess that's not a fair question. Or vice versa. Let me just say vice versa.
Like,
Can he plead
like,
the fifth?
like Anthony Fauci. I was just going to say that. Just like Fauci, I'd like to plead the fifth on that one.
Well, that's what happened. So the contractor came, my husband was there, and he told him that you have to go down there between winter and summer and flip a switch and open this vent. But he didn't tell me. So he was out of town when the air conditioner froze up. And what we didn't know was that the airflow had been turned off, which was part of the reason why it froze. So we brought in a new contractor that one of my very trusted agents that did all kinds of construction recommended. I love his referrals. And he said, first of all, it's not the right type of humidifier for this furnace. Second of all, you had the airflow shut off. You're supposed to flip this. And it said right there on it, winter or summer, but he never told me, right? And he also said, this isn't the right product for this size house. It's supposed to be a different kind of humidifier. So, you get different opinions from different contractors. They're not all the same. And neither one of us in our family are mechanical. Some people are naturally that way, but it's just not our thing. We rely on professionals. And most people don't worry about their house until they have problems, right? So when it comes to selling a home and you have an inspection, you're thinking, well, I had no problem with it. What's the big deal? We'll have an inspection and I'm sure they'll come up with something, but can't be that bad. Well, they find some really bad stuff and they're looking for some really bad stuff. So I'm anticipating if we ever sell the house, we're going to have to replace those humidifiers and get the right kind and get that jury rigging venting off of it. And anyway, I'm just saying that you get a lot of different opinions, and it starts with the inspector who is only received an online certification, best case. They are not qualified to judge a system like that, right? So if you have this short window, sometimes I'll get a deadline in a contract that says, okay, we have to do our inspection by Friday, and we want to reach agreement about the objection on Monday. So no business day takes place. And it's a hard stop on the contract where the deal falls apart if we don't reach agreement that next business day. it's so inconsiderate. A lot of agents will do that to me. I'm like, no, that's not enough time to go and get our own contractors and find out what's going on here. So that's one of the issues. Another issue is just the crazy stuff that they find. And then the agents are not that skilled in systems. I will admit that, including myself. You know, I've learned a lot over the years, but I don't know everything. And I will tell you that, you know, a lot of agents are just the messenger. Oh, well, the inspector said this, therefore we need it, right? And the agents, because they know they're going to get a written report, basically ask to not even attend the inspection. Can't you give out the combo to my inspector and let him come and go all through your house for 3 hours and we don't have to be there? Is that fine? How would you feel about that, Richard? Somebody going through all your systems and just the unqualified, unlicensed inspector there.
I've learned so many things from you, Barb. One of the most interesting and important is that you do not have to be licensed or have a degree or anything to be an inspector. I could go out and be an inspector tomorrow.
Yeah, you'd probably be great at it. But anyway, so another thing that happens is that the agents ask for the seller not to be present during the inspection. I hate that when they do this. Okay, first of all, how do you feel about somebody telling you to leave your own home for 3 hours? What's your thought on that, Richard?
That does not seem like that would be. Barb, some of the things that you bring up, I keep thinking to myself, is this really true? Because you have so many circumstances that if I didn't know you and know the credibility that you have, I'd be scratching my head.
So basically, the state contract says the home is sold as is, where is, with all its faults, right? They're going to check the basic systems: air conditioning, furnace, water heater. Interesting, they don't really ask. There's not a lot of critique on the age of the air conditioner, but there's a lot on the age of the furnace and the water heater. So you'll see inspectors say, oh, well, if the furnace is more than 22 years old, it's beyond its useful life, it must be dead, you got to get a new one. Same with the water heater, but that timeline is only 8 to 10 years. The other things that they will look at are they will try to impose today's building codes on older homes. Like GFCIs, those are the little circuit breakers that have a little pop on them. They try to bring it to today's code for that. There's certain electrical panels, septic and sewer. Oh my gosh, I could spend a whole segment just on that. And roofs. So a lot of these things you can inspect up front, and I highly recommend it. You want to know going in if you have a problem. You want to know if you have a roof problem. You especially want to know if you have a sewer or septic problem, electrical, all these different things. I've had inspectors damage houses. I've had them run the well dry and suck sand up through the sinks inside the house. I've had them stick their foot through the drywall from the attic. I've had them drop things down the sewer lines. I've had them pop circuit breakers and cause freezers to shut down. I've had them pull toilets without permission, a lot. And actually, I found out from my inspector, it has to be a plumber that does that. Here's a picture I got on one inspection report where the inspector's like, oh, we got wood rot. And he took his screwdriver and just stuck it in the peeling paint inside the wood. I'm like, dude, who gave you permission to do that? Their gadgets I already talked about. But at the end of the day, there's nothing that says you have to leave your own home for the inspection, but you want to do a pre-inspection ahead of actually having the buyer do your inspection. That's a key part of being prepared to sell your house, because you never know what they're going to do. And you kind of just got to be ready for crazy town, typically on inspections. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guarantee Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how does a home seller prepare for their home inspection. Next up, we're going to talk about some things that can help you deal with that and have the whole process go very smoothly. My name is Barb Schlinker, broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
That is the host of the program, Barb Schlinker. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. Barb Schlinker, of course, with Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. Reach her at 719 301 3900. Now, Barb, what are some things that a home seller can do to prevent the agent from blowing up the sale?
Well, it starts with just go ahead and have a pre-inspection. To get both the sewer scope and the inspection done, it's less than $500. It's money well spent because there are some things you need to get bids and get prepared for. We have hail here all the time. You want to check that out. Most of the sellers say, well, my roof isn't leaking. What's the problem? There is a problem. A lot of the insurance companies are saying, hey, we're not going to insure that roof if it's more than 10 years old, right? You'll have issues come up like that where you could go under contract and the deal blows up over silly things like that, even though the roof might be fine. Also, you want to look at things like septic, sewer, furnace, water heater, electrical, plumbing, all these things. Now you can supply, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to replace all these things. You can buy a home warranty that will cover these things for you during the listing and for a buyer for a year after closing. But these inspectors will oftentimes deem some of these systems as completely dead and useless. One example are smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. So from what I understand, the newer ones, especially smoke detectors, after 10 years, even if you replace the battery that's chirping, it'll keep chirping because it's more than 10 years old. So they've come up with a way to make these things dead after 10 years. So it's not that expensive to replace them and update them. It's just one box checked. Decks, rotting wood could derail the deal. And you know what? They're very expensive. So you want to get ahead of that. Now, appliances, generally, most of them, refrigerator, washer, and dryer are a gift. But you want to, if you're going to include them, usually what we do is say if they fail during the contract, seller's not going to replace them. Broken windows, broken seals, those are good things to get ahead of. And there are crazy things that happen with inspections. I've seen to have a lot of them happen. One of them is when they show up and leave, open the door and just leave, right? I'm not too happy about that because it's their buyer that wants access, and it invalidates my insurance. I had one agent that decided to have a pizza party during the inspection. The way we found out is that the pizza delivery gal showed up at the door, not with one pizza, but four pizzas and a bag of four pizzas and a bag of wings. And we're like, okay, what are we doing here? And of course, the seller's freaking out. They sent me this picture. They're like, what are they doing? Are they moving in our house? Are they using our utensils? Why is there so much food being delivered? I thought they were doing an inspection. And the agent's like, oh, well, the buyers were just hungry. I'm like, get out of the house if you're going to eat there. And we offer our certified pre-owned home program in order to help the sellers prepare, get ready. That way their inspection is a breeze. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making the move, Barb is reached. I'm sorry. Let me take a sip here. All right. We'll do that again. You're listening to Barb Schlinker. The program is Your Real Estate Voice, and Barb is the owner broker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to buy your next home if you have a house to sell, plus Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss those. I think I said it before. I got this dental thing, and it is about driving me crazy. I had some work done, and then it kind of, I wouldn't say ripped or cut. It abrasion on the inside of my lip. And so every time I talk, I'm trying to keep my inside of my mouth away from my teeth. And by the time I get done doing
And
this
that's your
show,
job to
I
talk.
know, right? Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Uh, man, we're making pretty good. Yeah. It's like, I think I've said this before. It's kind of almost a standard joke, and that is, I, in high school, Mrs. Binstock put me in the closet at the back of the room, and because I was talking too much, I was flirting with some girls, and I had to stay back there.
Closet.
Yeah, it was like a broom closet kind of thing. I stayed there till the end of the show. I mean, the end of the class, and then she sent me down to, the counselors or whatever in our, well, Richard, what is your situation like at home? Because it seems like you want attention, which is why you're doing the, I'm like, holy cow. And then they're like,
want attention from certain people.
exactly. And you have 135 IQ, but look at your grades here. And David just got it right. You're missing the whole point here, woman. I want attention from the cute girls I was talking to in the class. Why is that so hard to understand? They
No
don't
problem
care
at
about my
home. I'm just being
IQ.
normal.
Yes, they don't care
I had
about
the
my
same problem in
grades.
second grade.
Did
so,
you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here we are. I've got segment 4 ready to go.
All right, ready.
I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, host of the program, and the owner-broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, many people think that when they put their home on the market, it's definitely going to sell and at their price. But often they believe having their home on the market assures them that they can get a contract on their next home. What are some of the mistakes when that happens and people want to move up, and they're called move up buyers?
Well, Richard, it's the uncertainty. The average days on market's pushing 90 days right now. So 3 months of going through showings, which all by itself is a pain. I've got somebody that's on the market right now that basically is working from home. They can't accept showings working from home. But so they have to show after business hours. They need lots of advance notice because they have to get the puppies out so the puppies don't disturb them because they'll be constantly, barking when somebody's there. So that part of the process for most home sellers is not fun at all. So what do? How do they get that certainty that they know their house is definitely going to sell and it's going to go through? And the problem is the whole process is designed for uncertainty. It's unfortunate, but we have a way to solve the problem. We're going to talk about that in this segment. So you want to make sure that when you're moving up to your next home, you are prepared in every way. A, get your home ready for sale. B, price it right. And C, everybody wants a destination. Like a lot of people won't just fly blind and go, okay, I'm going to sell my house and then wait for the next home that I want to buy, or search for the next home that I want to buy after the fact. A lot of people don't like to do that. They don't want to move twice. They need to have a destination, and they need to have the certainty that they're not going to, start the process over again for whatever reason if a contract has failed. And it happens more often than it should right now. A lot of it has to do necessarily with financing, not necessarily with the house itself, but it's the buyer either not able to get financing or not willing to get financing. So how do you deal with that? So number one is you want to prepare your home for sale. So earlier we talked about how you can tap into $50,000 to update your home, to make your home look attractive and show ready. That's one option. But it still doesn't give you that certainty that everything is going to go through, right? And a lot of buyers they want everything. They want the house to be in perfect shape. They want move-in ready. It doesn't matter the price range. So some people, if they sell too early, then they have to create a temporary housing situation. You can, and I've had a lot of people go buy their next home first. In other words, they already had a second home. They already had another destination. And that actually is the best of both worlds, because you know where you're going, and it takes the pressure off, and you can sell at your pace. But I would say a majority of people don't necessarily have the cash to do that. They need to tap into their equity to make it happen. And we've got some great programs where we've got two in which the lenders will come in and actually buy your next home for cash and let you take your time selling your current home. And that way you're not under on any kind of pressure to make it happen. A lot of times what happens though is buyers will say, okay, well, I'm just going to do what all the other agents tell me to do and make an offer contingent on my home selling. And oh, by the way, it's not under contract. And oh, by the way, it's a lowball offer and I want closing costs too. So most home sellers are like, no, that's not going to work. There's no home certainty for the home seller. Why should they give a discount and reserve the house for them if they don't even know when their house is going to sell and they don't even have their house on the market? It just seems crazy. Their offer looks very weak, and really a contingent sale like that, they better come in full price, and they better consider other options like our buy before you sell program, or they're going to get rejected all day. And I will tell you, Richard, the MLS, the KGB, whatever you want to call them, they have rules about this, right? So if a seller accepts a contract contingent on the home buyer's home selling, regardless of whether or not it's under the contract, they require us to change the status in the MLS to something called RGT, which stands for right of refusal. And I've queried agents that I've trained to say, hey, look at this listing. Let's say you have a buyer that doesn't have a house to sell and you see this listing. What do you think? And they look at it and they go, it's not available. I'm like, it is available. If they accepted a contract contingent on their home selling, it means that they built in this kick out clause that says, oops, if we get another offer and buyer number one cannot sell their current home, we could kick out a buyer number one and get buyer number two. The problem is most agents don't understand it. And it shows up in the KGB multiple listing system as under contract in all the tech companies, Realtor.com, Zillow, all those companies say it's under contract, which creates absolute demand destruction, and other buyers think it's not available. So I don't like that policy. I don't agree with it. I don't play by their rules all the time. I have ways around it. Let me just say that. I'm sure I'll get taken to the MLS police. It happens on a daily basis practically, but it's okay. So there's a different way to do it. So the different way to do it is to structure your offer so that the seller will accept it. I just had a client that was up against competition. I think my client's offer, it was in another state, was better than the competing offer, but they hadn't quite finished all of their pre-qualification for this program, which is a buy before you sell program. In other words, the lender goes out and pays cash for their next home, and they get to take their time selling their current home. And there's another option that they have, which is they will, even if they're getting a loan, they'll guarantee the appraisal, or they'll guarantee that they'll step in and pay cash if for some reason the lending takes longer than expected. So there's lots of different ways that you could structure the offer to make it look more attractive, because it's not just about how much you're offering. It's about the certainty of whether or not the deal is going to go through. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about what are the biggest mistakes that home sellers make when they're moving up to their next home, and how to buy your next home without selling your current home. When we come back, we're going to talk about some solutions and ways you can avoid those mistakes and have certainty that you'll only move once and you'll move from A to B seamlessly. Richard?
I'm Richard Randall, and you're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program, and you can reach her at 719-301 3900. We're talking, Barb, about mistakes that home sellers make when they move up to their next home. What are some other things that a seller can do to avoid those mistakes?
Well, I definitely would look at the buy before you sell programs. And I think, if it were us moving right now, which we're not ready to move, I'm just saying, if we were going to do it, I would do this all day. I think it's great. I love the fact that you could tap into your existing equity without getting a bridge loan. And the lender comes in and says, okay, we got it. We're going to buy your destination home for cash. And then you could take your time selling your current home at your pace, which is amazing. And you just have to get pre-approved with that lender. They'll get the loan on the other end. It's pretty much the easy button. It takes a couple days to qualify, but it's also a way that your offer can look the strongest when you're up against competition. Another really great solution that you want to think about is our Market Ready Easy Money program. You can get up to $50,000 to update your home in order to command top dollar when you sell for homes. So if you're looking at doing that, give us a call. We know how to help you do it. This program is exclusive to us. Give us a call at 719-301-3900. That's part of what we do is we give our sellers tips on what to do and what not to do, how to get their house ready for sale. We'll give them a really good price range of what their home will sell for, how much they'll put in their pocket when it sells. And that way they have certainty that they can go on to the next phase in life. Just call us 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, let's take a look at some of your hot new listings. Tell us about those, including some of those that aren't already on the market, but will be soon.
Well, this is one of the things that we offer as a special opportunity for our buyers. They get insider access to homes that they cannot find on the internet, homes that are off market. We sell quite a few homes off market, and they include highly sought after properties in great locations. The advantage for a buyer is they get insider access to homes that other buyers can't get in to see, which is awesome. They're called office exclusive to the MLS police. And then we also have some home sellers that really, they don't want to go through the traditional sales process. I guess I don't know, Richard, I think I'm scaring people by warning them about the crazy town stuff that takes place in the normal market. So some people don't want to do it. And they're like, I want one of your cash buyers. So that's something that we can do as well. So what we have coming up on the market here, we've got a great home in the mid-3s on Kasdan Circle that's been remodeled. Open this weekend, actually 12-1 today, August 8th. At 8145 Trafalgar Drive. This lovely home backs to Rampart Park. It's got a beautiful backyard, 6-bedroom, 4-bath. It's got this gorgeous custom kitchen. You won't be disappointed. Come to our open house today, 12-1. We have another beautiful Briargate home on Scarborough Drive. This home has all luxury vinyl flooring at $534,999. A stunning home on Agate Creek with gorgeous views, 15616 Agate Creek Place in the mid-600s. Beautiful home up in Divide on Blue Mesa Drive. This gorgeous home on almost 3 acres overlooks a lake where you get to see the ducks splashing in to get the fish out of the lake. It's pretty cool and gorgeous views. Also, we have a great home that's offering a VA assumable loan, 14920 Jorba Grove. This home is on 35 acres with a great barn, a great detached garage, plenty of room, gorgeous views. And guess what? You can walk in the door with a crazy low interest rate, and it'd be like it was back in 2020 or 2021 and get under 3%. We also have a great home on Fountain Avenue downtown. It's actually a multi-use property where you can have your business on the main level and living space upstairs. Beautiful home off of Black Forest and Woodman on Moose Job, almost new home. Backs to open space at $624,999. Fantastic home in gorgeous Crystal Park on Sugarloaf Road in the upper 7s. Beautiful home on Mead Avenue. And then an amazing home. We just lowered the price, 4870 Balsam Street in the 80923 zip code, mid fours. This gorgeous home with a finished basement and a 3-car garage has it all. We also have a great home on Gold King down in Pueblo, lovely home on 5 acres on Warriors Path, and a stunning home up in Elizabeth, private road 17, 40 acres with a barn, with a massive RV slash whatever outbuilding, and it's in perfect shape. If you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program, owner broker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, give Barb a call now. You can reach her at 719-301-3900 or visit her at barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb, you have a great week and a safe one. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right. Let's see here.
And DJ, if you want to cut out the tough question, Richard, you can. That's fine.
You know what? It caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie.
You're kind of like, oh, what?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to chop it down. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it out completely.